All right. What's going on? It is December 11th, 2025. Welcome to Scouching Live. I am Will, the host of this program. Welcome all, one and all, whatever you want to call it, to the show. I'm very, very excited to be here. Again, I'm on my own for now. So you get me for 2 whole hours. Isn't that great? It is, as the title would indicate, it is officially ranking season. I am a little stressed out trying to race through all of the reporting and stuff that I've been trying to work through and all the written work, and so I can get going on putting up my ranking write-up. And obviously, it's a little bit of a spoiler considering what it looks like in the sidebar, and you can see it if you're a viewer of the show. But not everybody watches the show. This is not CNN. We're not. I mean, I guess not everybody watches CNN either. This isn't. Pluribus, is that the popular thing everybody's watching now? We're not quite there yet, and a lot of people do read those on the website. So Scouching.ca subscribers will get first access to the rankings. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to get it up, but I believe we have Tony Ferrari coming on the show Monday night. We will talk about them live on the show that night. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I am excited. In any case, welcome to the show. It's a very exciting time over here. The World Juniors continue to creep up on us ever so slowly. By the end of the month, we are going to be looking at, I think, an all-timer. I think this year's installment is going to be great. These rosters, I mean, again, I feel like every year you say the same things with regards to, outside of the top tier. I think teams like Slovakia, Czechia, maybe not Slovakia this year, but Slovakia is building a really good team. If not for this season, next year, I think there could be a really, really strong group there for Slovakia. The Czech team already looks pretty darn good too. I guess I should pull up the actual before I start yapping about them, pull up the actual rosters that I have in the little archive thing here that is under construction. But yeah, I mean, the Germans and the Danes, I'm not totally sure there's much there, but in the Swiss, I think the Swiss roster came out, and just flipping through this a little bit, I mean, they have a decent looking team. I'll be very curious to see if Lars Steiner is there. I will be very excited if he is, because I've always really liked him. I think his game has taken a pretty decent jump since last year, and he's a real pain in the butt now, which I really like about him. He's a really interesting player. Jonah Neuenschwander, a guy for next year's draft, is going to be there. Next year's draft, he's going to be there. I believe he was there last year. I think that was the whole big story for the Swiss. He's going to be there as well. That's going to be pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, I think the Swiss have an okay team. I'm not sure that they'll be able to quite compete on the same level as like the Czechs or the Slovaks, but Mugli, Johnson, Ustinkov, I'm hoping has a good tournament. I like Robin Nico Antonin as well. I've always kind of liked him. You've also got Steiner, of course, if he plays. Jamiro Reber is still in the mix as a Swedish Hockey League player. And Neuenschwander, who's been in the National League this year and doing okay. And I've seen a little bit of him, but, I think he's fine. But he could be a really good presence for that team in this tournament here. And, they've got 2 strong goaltenders too, in Christian Kirsch and Elijah Neuenschwander. Like, I don't think the Swiss are a team that, like the under-18 team, is at risk of relegation here. But, at the end of the day, I'm also very curious about the Latvian team. They brought an extremely young group last year, and I don't believe their roster is public yet. So I imagine a whole bunch of those guys are going to be back. I actually was watching. I was up late last night watching goaltenders. So I'm hoping that we have our resident goaltending experts popping in today, because I think there are some really interesting goaltenders out there for this season that a lot of people aren't really paying too much attention to. I think that it's a very intriguing year for goaltenders this year, and I think there are some really, really good ones floating around out there. I updated all my data for even strength data and goaltending data. That's all been updated as well. as of last night. So I was up pretty late. Doing all that stuff and watching some goaltenders. And so we're having some fun, and there are definitely some interesting options out there. And so I think the reason I bring that up is because there's a kid from Latvia who I was watching. Oh, and of course I don't remember his name. Of course. He plays for Zemgala, and he's got some insane numbers in the Latvian league. In the Latvian league this year. I mean, that's not saying a whole lot, but he's 6'3", check. That's a thing people are interested in. He has played on the under 20 team, or at least been on the roster here and there. I don't think he's played. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's played in this level at the international level here, but he made one appearance at the under 18s last year as a 16-year-old. Patrick's Pluminch. So that's an interesting one. Pluminch is, I think. Usually Latvian names end in a sh, and that's definitely one of those. I know that accent. I know the accent at the end there. But yeah, I mean, he's had really, really good numbers in the Latvian top division, so to speak. Played for the under 18 team for his group when they played in Finland. A lot of Latvian teams play in the Finnish junior levels. And he was, he had an 885 save percentage last year playing under 18 hockey, but I did the math and he was facing something like 48 shots a game. So, a little bit of an interesting case study there in Patrick Pluminch, and I thought he looked pretty good. So, maybe he's on the team, on the World Junior team, because he has been on the Latvian under 20 team, but they could be an interesting group as well, because they were so young last year. They were so young. And I think they have an interesting group. Yeah, Bruno Osmanis will be there. Daniel Serkinch will be there. Carlos Fluginch, I like him too. Darryl Zuljanskish. I think Rudolf Spurs-Collins will be there. He was there last year, and I don't see why they would leave him off the team. I think he could be a really good addition for them. I've liked him quite a bit with Muskegon. So, yeah, I think that Latvia could have a really good team. And I guess the whole point I'm trying to make, if you missed the beginning of the show, is that beyond the top teams that are out there, Canada, everybody's focused on Canada, the U.S., Sweden. I think that beyond that group is really, really strong this year. I mean, Finland, I feel like Finland will be the exciting young team this year because they have so many really intriguing players eligible this year. Whereas last year, it was not a very great year for Finland in the draft. So I get the feeling that we might see a Finnish team that you never know. You can't count out the Finns in any international tournament ever. They managed to find ways to do better than you expect. So, take this all with a grain of salt. But like judging by who could be on this team. I mean, I've seen the under 20 team for Finland this year have Verdi Svensk on it, Juho Piiparinen, Oliver Suvanto, all of the big Finnish guys for this year's draft will be potentially on the roster for the World Junior team this year. So it's going to be a really exciting year for just World Junior or draft eligible players in the World Juniors in the first place, right? Like Canada, we'll see if they make the team, but McKenna will be there. I would almost guarantee that Verhoff will be there. Carson Karls, I think, will maybe be there. He might be a guy that gets cut, but I feel like people seem to really like him, and I feel like he could be there as well. And I don't know the last time Canada had 3 NHL draft eligibles on the team. The U.S. or the Swedish team has 4 of them. Stenberg, Bjork, Håkansson, and Justavar Karlsson are all on the team. They're all draft eligibles. Jakub Vanacek is kind of neat. I haven't seen enough of him to know if I want him on the list or not yet, but I do like him. But Novotny, Dravechki, those are all draft eligibles for Czechia. You've got, who else is in here? Thomas Horenko, Tobias Tomik, Adam Gollier, all on the team. Is Adam Nemec not on the team? Oh, no, he is. Okay, yeah. And Adam Nemec, they're all draft eligibles for Slovakia. Germany doesn't have any draft eligibles on the roster, but they do have Max Penkin, who's next year. So they're skipping a year here, it seems. But yeah, and like, you've got Steiner on the team as well. Nick Lehmann, who's been playing in the top division in Switzerland for this season. I was watching him earlier this week. He's an interesting player. I don't know if he's a draftable player, but he's an interesting one as well. Latvia, I almost guarantee, will be young. The Danes, I think the Danes only really have maybe No, I don't think the Danes have anybody likely to be drafted this year. I'm curious about Emil Stubbe Jakobsen, but I wouldn't bet on it. I've just seen a little bit of him as a defenseman. I mean, he's playing under 18 hockey in Sweden this year and has a goal a game as a defenseman, but so we'll see. But at the end of the day, I'm excited. It's going to be a great time. It's one of my favorite hockey tournaments in the world, if not my favorite. If it isn't the Stanley Cup Final, it's just so much fun. And every year, I feel like it just gets more and more popular because the storylines and the vibes are just unbelievable. And this year, it's in Minnesota. I wish I was going. I went to a few games in Ottawa last year, and that was great. But the state of hockey, I've never been to Minnesota. I've always really wanted to go, and going for the World Juniors would have been awesome. But unfortunately, I don't have the means or the will to do it this year for multiple reasons. So in any case, Penkin's hurt. Oh, that sucks. That's too bad. All right, well, let's get into the chat, right? As we all know, this season we're trying to keep up with chat, so if you have questions, just fire them in the chat. We'll get to them. We're doing no more of this second half nonsense anymore, and so far so good. It's been good so far. But if you missed the beginning of the show, it's ranking season, so I've got my rankings slowly coming together. End of this week, I'm gonna have a big day tomorrow in office hours for anyone part of the Discord server. So we're gonna be going through a lot of guys to help me finalize things for. I hope I have it ready on Monday. If I don't, I apologize. But either way, we'll have a good time Monday night. We're going to get to work and go for it. So, yeah. And World Junior Preview, I'll start working on that next week. And it's usually a Christmas present. So there you go. All right. Yeah. Okay. Off the top, we already have it. Corey Prominent put his ranking out for the record, and that's inputted in the database. Tony also put his out. So it's ranking season. It's happening. Preseason ranking of McKenna number 4 looks increasingly prescient. I mean, I'm not gonna I don't know. I'm not gonna take victory laps about it. I do think that. I mean, it does just go to show that the internet loves to yap. The internet loves to have a hive mind that thinks a certain thing, and if you're but at the same time, Doc Brown invented his time machine when he was looking like he was 75 years old, right? Sometimes if you're a mad scientist, sometimes things that you try and experiment with works. And it catches on, like his time machine did. But at the end of the day, I mean, look, I this is why I kind of just do what I put out, what I feel. I'm not my fear of being called insane or clueless or a moron, which I know it happens. My ability to care about those things has decreased exponentially over the years. I say what I think. I'm okay being wrong, but I mean, with McKenna, I'll say this, right? My read on him has not really shifted over the course of this season, right? He is kind of the player that I've always seen, and I'm not, he's moved down one spot since the beginning of the year, and that's mostly because of how good I felt the other guys have been. And again, what I said at the top of the year was I just think the top end is closer than people are saying it is, and that McKenna is one of a group, and I still feel that way. I think there's a tier of 6 right at the top that look really, really strong, really, really strong, and he's one of them. So that's kind of it. I think that's kind of how it goes. That's just how it's going to be, and I'm happy to be wrong, but I mean, yeah, if you want to do this and do it, I think, right, you either build armor on yourself and kind of just go with it and stick your neck out, or you just do whatever, you just average out everyone else and assume that they're right? I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to throw everybody else under the bus. I'm not at all trying to do that. But I'm just saying that, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, because it's not like I think I'm smarter than everybody just because I thought McKenna was not clear far and away the number 1 pick overall this year, that there was no discussion to be had. But I don't know. I just put stuff out there. Sometimes I seem to be onto something, and other times I put stuff out there, and then the more I see, the more I look, and the more I pay attention, and the more I read about from other people, and take other people's thoughts and ideas into the equation, and chase things down myself, the more I can kind of go, I don't know about that one. And with McKenna, if he turned out to be unbelievably good this year, then yeah, of course he'd be locked in at number one for me, right? But this is just how she goes. It's a fun year. It's a great class this year, I think, and he's going to be a really good player. I hope. I really hope he's going to be great, because guys like him, they make the world a better place in the hockey world, I think. So hopefully that continues to hold, right? That's just the way she goes. Does Hextall have top 6 center upside? I don't know about I don't think he's a first line center on anybody's team, really. But I do think that Hextall could very easily be a good second line center, a really smart, I think on the right team, they would be perfectly fine with him as a third line center, and a pretty good one, right? I think the thing about Hextall is that he's kind of like a Ben Kindle in a way, where it's you watch him and it's not that the skating or skill level blows you away. It's not that he's a burner. It's not that he's big and physical and nasty and all that, but you see a really smart player. I've never interacted with him, but I would not be surprised to find out he is very much like a student of the game, and because he makes life so much easier for everyone else on the ice that's with him. And that's a factor. That's a thing that I absolutely adore in a player, especially up the middle of the ice, where skating is a big factor. And if you're not the most incredible skater, your awareness and vision and pass timing is paramount. And with Hextall and guys like Hextall, I can look at him and I go, okay, let's assume that over the next 5 seasons, the skating takes a step, the skill level takes a step, the brain is still there. He can adapt to higher paces of play. He's a player that I would leave in college for a while and just let him get better and better and better over time. Then I think you end up with a really impressive player. It's just only going to make everything better because of the foundational awareness and mentality that he's got around the game. It's something that I really, really love to watch in a player. So I don't know if it's I can look at him and go, yeah, it's a top 6 center, but a good middle 6 option, up the middle of I think the right team is gonna want him, right? Pittsburgh drafted Ben Kindle at 11 because that's Kyle Dubas and Wes Clark doing their thing, right? I very easily could see a team like that making a bet like that on a guy, maybe not that high, but on a guy like Hextall. I could see it, and I feel like he might be a guy that has a strong second half, because I watch him and I go, I see why he might not be producing, but I don't buy that that's gonna continue into the future. I mean, he's not producing, but he isn't blowing the doors off the USHL, but I do really, really like him. Xavier Perrant is making his NHL debut tonight. I thought the story of the day would be Jacob Fowler doing that. That's pretty incredible. Good for him. Xavier Perrant Xavier Perrant was a guy from why do I know this name? He was playing with New Jersey. He plays with New Jersey. Oh, okay. So he's a short king. So that's a plus. He's the Sherbrooke kid. Yes, I remember this guy now. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have transcripts of all of my episodes ever, but I guarantee you I've brought him up years ago as one of the overage Q guys that I really, really liked. I mean, seeing him in the NHL is pretty incredible. That's more than I thought there would be. But look, hey, Sheldon Keefe, man. He will reward anybody, right? He'll reward whoever he thinks deserves it. And I do really like him. I've always really liked him. I forgot about him until now. But seeing him being able to make his NHL debut is great. I love stories like that. Guys who just keep pushing and pushing. NHL teams who give these types of players a shot. He was always a high pace, high skill, high energy guy in the Quebec League that I liked. I wouldn't probably have drafted him, but to see him come this far and get a shot, it's fun. It's good to see. What's your read on Landon Ammerheim? What role could you see him taking in the NHL? I'm optimistic. I'm really bullish on Landon Ammerheim. I think that he is exactly the type of player that I think is a really good developmental case. He's a player who I really do think, again, like Hextall in a way, where the trajectory could just go up and up and up, because he's got a lot of things going for him that I think work really, really well, right? Like, he's not small. Not that that is a be-all end-all, but he's lanky and tall and pretty skilled and really nifty and creative and has those like physical moments, but you want more out of him. Like, he's a player that is probably part of that category of like, I would love to develop and coach him, because I feel like he's kind of only really scratching the surface of what he's capable of. Like, if he can just penetrate defenses a little bit better, he's a guy that I will do a game of tomorrow in the Discord server, because I want to make sure that I like him as much as I really do before I hit send on something. And I haven't seen as much of him, but it's one of those things where I watch other players and I go, yeah, but I kind of like Ammerhein a little more. I kind of like this guy. I like this guy a little bit less because of what Ammerhein might be. Maybe not what he is now. And so for Ammerhein, like, I don't expect him to be a top 6 guy, right? Like, but I think, again, like, it's like Hextall. Could be a really good complementary offensive piece that sets up line mates really effectively, protects the puck really well, has some good skill for a big guy. And the development curve, like, it's like looking at a stock and going like, well, I don't know how much the price is going to go up. Nobody does. I don't really know. But there's a lot of good fundamentals that like indicate that this is a pretty good business that might be worth taking a shot on, right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen, really, right? You never know. But I think he's a guy who does have a lot of good foundational tools and a lot of good, hard to find things in a player that I think are worth betting on, right? Like, the last guy that he maybe kind of reminds me of a little bit might be a Kieran Walton type guy, where Walton wasn't the most productive guy in junior. And you just saw a few moments here and there where you went, holy crap, look at this guy go. I think Ammerhein's more of a playmaker, at least at this age, than I remember Walton was. But if Ammerhein can sort of find that like consistent gear and a little more energy in his game, I think he could be a really, really good player. There's some Hungarians. Oh my God, Hungarians. I'm interested. We missed one. Thoughts on Tobias Treibel? I like him. David Phillips highlighted him to me a while ago, and the thing I noticed about him was I was like, man, this kid is like a stick man. Like, he's in the net. He's like 6'6" or something like that, and he looks like he weighs about 110 pounds. Like, he's like a stick bug in net, and that's cool. That's fun. But like, he is a really good skater in the crease. Like, he is all over the place. I mean, I think he's a bit unrefined as a goaltender, projectively speaking. But I mean, if he can just put a little bit more muscle on his body and stay a little bit more under control in the net and all of that stuff, like, he's a great skater. And I think he does a really good job filling the net and getting around the crease really, really well without overcommitting or getting out of position or resorting to desperation or something like that. But there is athleticism there. Like, I have Treibel in my, like, if I'm looking at my goalie rankings, which I do have, believe it or not, I don't really talk about them much because I plead ignorance, but he's one of the top 5 goaltenders this season, I think. 6. I mean, he is in the top 5 for sure, but I'd say like the guys I'm really, really, really interested in this year, there's 6 of them, I would say. Borichev, Rybkin, Yermolenko, Treibel, Lassell. I watched Lassell last night. I think he was mentioned in the chat, right? Yeah, Lassell, the Quebec kid, he's really good too. And I have my D+3 in here, Martin Neckash, the French kid, who is playing again in the Swiss league in the second division. He hasn't gotten a look in the National League yet, but every time I've watched him for the last 3 seasons, I've been really, really, really impressed. And he is a guy that I could very easily see having a really long career in hockey. And every season, pretty much, he's been great. And that's one that I also want to keep an eye on as well. Ivchenko's in there, Bodiger, Sklenichka, even Brady Noling. I thought Ryder Federolf in Ottawa looks really, really intriguing and interesting. Like, I'd say there's 11 goalies, 12 goalies that I'm like particularly interested in, with a few that I think are really, really good. And Treibel is one of them. Treibel's a really interesting one for sure. There are some Hungarians I'm interested in for next year. Have you checked out goaltender Benedek Gyukai and Fenrich Karsai? No, I have not. The Hungarian world is a little bit outside my realm. The only real experience, I mean, there's a Hungarian guy in Sweden. I think his name is Bendeguj Ven or something like that. He was playing in Sweden last year. I watched him for a bit. But the one I always love to go back to, because he is one of the league leaders now in the Erste Liga in Hungary, is Mark Schleckmann, who I remember watching when he was 17 internationally for the Hungarian team and going, this kid's kind of fun, you know? I don't know if I would draft him, but he's kind of good for a 17-year-old Hungarian, and now he's gone on to be one of the premier scorers, kind of, sort of, in that league. Or at least one of the better Hungarian players out there for his age group. But you know what? I'll put him down on the list here. Benedek Gyukai and Fenrich Karsai. Fenrich. I usually would assume that. Gyukai is playing in Finland. All right, very cool. He also has a very cool birthday, July 14th. A very cool birthday in our household. Cool. You know, good for him. Stopping a lot of pucks for the World Juniors. Okay, so he's at the World Juniors for his team and stopping a lot of pucks. Not bad for a 16-year-old, right? Playing kids 3 years older than your age. Wait a minute. Is this a joke? Is this second name a joke? Unless you misspelled it. Because if you did, you got me. Maybe not. I don't know. Unless that's 6-7 in Hungarian. In that case, then shame on you. Do you think people could be making the same mistake with Preston as Savoy? Well, I don't know about that. I mean, look, I think Savoy, it's an interesting thought, but Savoy, I don't think Savoy could really slow the game down a ton. Like, he was always very, very high energy. And I mean, also, like, hasn't Savoy been playing like 6 minutes a night? And with, like, I'm curious now. I want to know who his line mates have been. Because I don't know. I watch him with Edmonton and I still think he looks pretty solid. But he just hasn't, like, you know, cracked the yeah, okay, so he's having a bad year. He's just having a bad year. Who's he playing? I mean, yeah, like, he's playing all over the lineup. And I never liked the idea of, hey, rookie, welcome to the league. You have a different set of line mates every single game, and we're gonna, you know, throw you all around the lineup. But at the end of the day, his numbers are not particularly encouraging. Unless he's on the power play. I mean, special teams, he seems to be a positive impact player, which is weird. But at 5-on-5, he seems to be struggling. At the end of the day, though, with Preston, I mean, I feel like it's going to sound stupid. This is going to sound stupid. But with Savoy, I remember watching him, and my gut watching him was, I really like this kid. He's really fun to watch. I can see why people are lower on him than others, but he still brings a really good floor. Like, I could still see at the very worst a top 9 NHL player there. Maybe the offense doesn't project super well, but the energy and the skill level and that sort of overall impact on the game probably figures it out at some point. And with Preston, it's not so much that, like, I don't think Preston has a bottom where it's like, yeah, he'll be just an energy guy. I don't think that's the case at all. But with Preston, I watch him and I go, this kid's a rock star. Like, the skill level, the ability to separate from opponents, the ability to move the puck into open space, set up line mates. I mean, sometimes he can be a bit too much of like a volume playmaker, just throw it out in front and hope and cross your fingers. But the shot is just unbelievable, and the shot selection is, I would say, slowly getting better. I think a huge problem is the surroundings there, right? Like, I don't see guys that can really play ball with a guy like Preston. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, right? Like, maybe I'm wrong on Preston, but I watch him and I see a rock star, and I don't remember feeling that way about Matt Savoy, right? Like, and I know that sounds stupid, but it was like that thought or idea never came into my mind I thought good, skilled player, really high ceiling, but there's a road to get there. Preston, it's like he needs the right environment to sort of let him play the way he wants to play and evolve and grow, and he needs surroundings to work with him. But I think that's the case with pretty much any super high-end player. And Spokane's having a bit of a rough year, and I don't know. I still watch Preston and see an exceptional player. And look, if he is Promden, I think had him as the last name on his list, and he was 31st. If I'm a Stanley Cup contending team and I can land a Mathis Preston, I am happy to do it. I would be very happy to do it, in fact. But I will also say this: my top 6, I don't know. You ask me tomorrow, it'll be different probably. You ask me the next day, it'll be different. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. If I had the first overall pick this year, I do not know what I would do. And that's not because it's like, oh, I haven't seen enough of these guys. It's I have seen a lot of these guys. I don't know what I would do. You know? They're just, all of them have something really special that they bring to the game. I don't know. What do you think of Nikita Ovcharov? I've never been a huge fan of him. Like, the big thing for me was, I mean, obviously this is me maybe putting on my, boots on the ground old man scouting gear. But Ovcharov, like, being an 08, when I saw him in Charlottetown playing with Gold Star's team, and he was one of the only 08 on that team, and he was kind of a more depth guy, just kind of there, and like, I think Ovcharov is really smart. Like, I think that's the big thing, is I think he moves the puck really well. He's not small, but I don't buy NHL upside for him. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I imagine he'll get drafted, and I can imagine him being a pretty decent contributor in the minor leagues or a KHL guy or whatever, but I don't know. The NHL just seems like it's never really, like, there's nothing that really separates him where I kind of go, okay, he's going to be the number one guy on my list for this. And I think this is what he's going to do in the NHL. Right. And it's not the same as like a Hextall, where Hextall doesn't really have that, like, you can see an NHL player right now, but you can see it in the future type thing. I don't know if I see it right now for Ovcharov, but again, it's he's only 17. There's still tons of time for me to be wrong. I hope Latvia medals. Wouldn't that be fun? Who are the most pleasing players to watch outside the top 10? Pleasing? Okay, well, let's see. Who is not in the top 10? We'll start there, because I honestly have not looked at the average rankings right now. Let's lower the filter to over half. Who is ranked in over half of the rankings I track? And ordered by Wade average here. Where are you? There you are. So the top 10 as of right now in a Wade ranking I have is McKenna, Verhoff, Stenberg, Lawrence, Belchetz, Reed, Schmitz, Lynn, Carls, Bjork. That leaves out Xavier Villeneuve. That's an easy answer. Mathis Preston, easy answer. At times, I would say Elton Hermanson. I would say maybe Oliver Suvanto. If you like studying the game, I would say Jack Hextall. I saw Ilya Morozov the other day. I really like him. I've really come a long way on him since the beginning of the year as an NHL player. Like, I think he's all, like, after the game I did of him, I'm going, okay, this guy is kind of flying under the radar a little too much here, right? He's Tynan Lawrence's age, playing in the NCAA on a team that is not incredible and getting some good minutes. He is a really clever passer. He is really, really physical, which I love to see out of a guy like him up the middle of the ice. I would love to see a little bit more confidence in the offensive zone, a little bit better puck control. But he's a center that I think is certainly a pretty decent projectable player. I wouldn't say he's pleasing, but if you like the physical side of the game, and if you like guys who sort of just are rock solid, he's a pretty decent one. it all depends on what your definition of pleasing is, right? Yegor Shilov has great skills. So does JP Hurlburt. So does Nikita Klepov. And if that's what you're into, Adam Valentini, those are all really, really skilled guys who have complementary upside and I think could be really interesting projects to work on. But I mean, the easy answer is like Villeneuve, Preston. Like I think those guys are just exceptionally talented players that, like, even if you think that Preston is a late first round, like, let me put it this way, right? Like, let me see if I can pull it up. But like, one of the things that I think is always really weird, and the thing I'm going to bring up is Corey Promnan's work. And the thing that's interesting about Pronman is that I've seen it over the years. He's ahead of the curve on what the NHL is putting out there, right? Like when he puts out something where you go, whoa, like where is this coming from? It seems like a lot of it is coming. He's kind of on where the NHL is thinking things before everyone else, right? Like the back half of his first round, or the back half of his rankings, I should say, the average height of a player was like 6'3", right? And some of it is like really? But this is the thing that I'm always confused about, right? Let me just toggle over here to this. So, like, you've got Oscar Hemming, who has not played a game this year. He has played 0 hockey games since the Hlinka tournament. And you're looking at a guy who's rated as, at best, NHL average in a number of areas, ranked ahead of a smaller player who is ranked above NHL average, which I believe that's how Pronman does it, who is average at the NHL level in terms of their abilities for an NHL player. And so this guy is ranked lower and at the very end of the list compared to, you know, a guy who is just not even given as many grades to look at, right? So I'm not sure why I brought that up now that I think about it. But like at some point in the draft, to me, a guy like Preston, at the very least, becomes one of the very few like just truly special players that you could pick up. Just like, I don't see guys with skill that often. I don't see guys with like vision and playmaking ability and like dynamic abilities like him. Again, AJ did this too. Like AJ, I don't know if he's in the chat, but like we have a game tape of Mathis Preston on the way, and the interview we did with him, I wasn't there unfortunately, but like it was really good. He was really good, and it's like AJ was saying, like he's like, I heard you say on the show that you compared him to William Nylander. Now after having met him and listening to the interview and watching video of him and watching him do his thing, he's like, I've watched William Nylander my whole life basically, and he is literally a regen of William Nylander, right? People said the same questions about Nylander when he was 17, right? They looked at his size, they looked at his fancy play, they looked at this, they looked at that, but I now you look at it and go, he has turned out to be quite special. The wrong team drafting William Nylander probably could have ruined him, but if you like Mathis Preston and you are a Stanley Cup contending team and landing him, then good for you, man. That's wild. I don't know if we'll put it in the. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but it's a good interview. He's a fun one. Yes, LaSalle is really good. Thoughts on Ilya Protas and Kristall playing in Hershey and how the second year post draft you see their progression. All right. Well, let's take a look here because I haven't really looked. I know Protas is doing really, really well. I mean, Ilya Protas, like, the lesson that I learned from Ilya Protas is big young players that get up and down the ice really well are worth betting on, especially as centers. And that's why I kind of really like a guy like Morozov. I think Protas, I remember watching Protas in his draft year, the first half of the year, going like, I'm going to rank this guy, even though he has like 0 points, because I think there's something intriguing there about him. And he had a really good second half, and I should have had him higher, but I kind of liked him. And I'm not going to make that same mistake again, especially with a kid playing up the middle of the ice in the NCAA, playing some pretty good minutes and having similar aspects in his game. Where is Kristall? So yeah, Kristall's almost a point a game, eh? I mean, that's awesome, right? Like I hope it works out for a guy like Andrew Kristall. I still believe that there is a very, very good chance that you might see the next guy who scores 90 points a year in the AHL and just doesn't stick it in the NHL for one reason or another. Like, he is very small. He plays very small. I think his toolbox is a little bit limited based on what I've seen, but it's good enough and he can get enough done that he can make it work. And it works just fine for the AHL, but the NHL might be a really tough test for a guy like him. I'm not saying it's not going to work. I hope it does. I love Andrew Crystal. I thought where they drafted him was the perfect spot to land him. And so it's good to see that he's hitting the ground running in the AHL. That's great. But the more I watch a guy like Protas and the more I watch how guys like that play at this level of the NHL and how valuable those types of players can be, especially in a system like how Washington kind of wants to play, right? Like, I think that how Washington plays has been a huge benefit for why Alexei Protas has become what he is. I think Washington's just such a great sort of system that everybody buys into that kind of masks maybe some of those more high-flying things that you look for as unnecessary, right? Like, it just kind of renders it a little bit unnecessary. Like, hockey is a wonderful game, because there's a lot of different ways you can win a game, right? If you want to try to outmuscle your opponents to win, you can do that. You can try it. If you want to outskill your opponents and try to win, you can do that too. If you want to be faster than your opponent, you can try that as well. If you want to be smarter than your opponent, you can try that as well. And like, the beauty of it is, like, depending on who you play and how you deploy them and who you play them with, all of those things are perfectly fine options. Like, that is 95%, well, maybe not 95, but 75% of the really exciting stuff that all of this is about, right? For me, I get to watch all these guys. I get to log all this data and throw it in the garbage because I don't really care so much about it specifically. But then I get to see the outcome and see what teams value and see what kind of direction a team kind of wants to head, and sort of track that change over time. And that's really interesting to me, because there's so many different things that could work. And I think Washington does a really good job of, like, riding that line of, like, having a little bit of a lot of things that I think work in the modern game, right? Like, they're not going, oh, we need an enforcer, so we're going to draft a gigantic guy who can't really do much, but, like, they'll play for, they're not focusing on that, but it's like they have a bit of skill, they have a bit of finishing ability, they have a bit of smarts and creativity and shooting ability, and they do have some big guys that can rumble around and maybe play a complementary role, but, like, do it okay. So there's a lot of things. I think that they're a team that I think does really intriguingly well. And it doesn't surprise me that they've been a decent NHL program the last little while. Do you think any NHL team would draft a player whose skating is barely OHL standard and has a turning circle of an aircraft carrier because he's 7'1"? You know the answer to that. The answer is yes. And honestly, I get it. I always think about this as, I am one guy. If I am in a room filled with other people who it is their job to scout and draft a guy or guys and develop them, and is there a point in this draft class with how my list is formatted, the guys that are available, if literally teams drafted my first overall, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, all the way down to like 100, I don't have 100 guys on the list, but I do have a watch list. So if they get down to like the bot, all of those guys are gone, and it's the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and Alexander Karmanov's name comes up, I'm going, look, we had our chance with all of the guys that I like. I'll take it. Let's do it. Like, whatever. Who knows? Because there is definitely truth to the fact that, look, just look at the science of it, the mathematics of it. Someone growing to be 7 feet tall, 7'1", if they're 17 years old, that is fundamentally like they're not done yet. Like, not in terms of height, but like maturing. Like, there's just so much so much runway left of physical development, right? Like, the trainability of a 17-year-old human being is still pretty close between 17-year-olds. And trainability is like really high at that age. So the idea that he could get stronger and a more finesse, better footwork and all of that stuff, it's not impossible. It's just like always a question of like, are there players that I like more that have more now that I think I would rather have? And the answer to that is like almost certainly yes. But if everybody on my list is gone and it's like the 6th round of the 5th round of the draft, then you know what? Why not? Why not? I get it. It's just in my world, there's a lot of guys where it's like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and I go, this guy's pretty good too. I think I would like to have this player in my system and see where it goes, whereas Karmanov, it's more of like let's see what happens and go for it. You know what I mean? What's the joke? The Eddie, if anyone's as old or older than me, the Eddie Murphy from the Delirious stand-up special. I saw the clip pop up on my YouTube shorts, so I apologize for anyone who doesn't care about this, but the joke he made about how it was almost about like a white privilege thing, how white people, when they go to vote, they get drunk and vote for the most hilarious candidate imaginable, and like the example, which is way out of date now, but the example was voting for Jesse Jackson, and so the joke is like a bunch of white people go and vote for Jesse Jackson as a joke because who cares and yada yada yada, and he ends up winning. It's like that's the kind of situation, right? It's like you see what happens with Karmanov, and if it works, that's awesome, and if it doesn't, I don't know. Like if he's a 2nd round pick, then hey, I respect the cojones to do that, but I don't know. That would be pretty wild. Finland could have an all-star level team for the junior level, and they'd still be underrated and scoffed at. The Finland with a B team beat Canada once and twice. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, the Finns can do anything. Like, you count them out, they'll do anything. Still doesn't change the fact that like a lot of the guys they had on the team last year at the under 18s, like that under 18 team was also not very good. And those are the guys that are going to be a lot of this group. But yeah, you can't count out the Finns ever, right? Like Aaron Kiviharju is going to be a 19-year-old at this tournament, and he was decent last year, right? Like, who knows what's possible? So yeah, and they're going to have some good young players. Like the Finnish 17-year-olds this year are good. They are good hockey players. How does Stenberg project given how he's producing in the SHL in the context of how Leo Carlsson has broken out this year? Is there recency bias to expect that much of an impact? Well, they're very different players, right? Like Carlsson is an excellent example of how a big kid like that can really, with the right development path, become a really strong NHL player. Just because of the fact that like I remember his draft year, the first half of it, I thought he was a little bit slow, a little clunky, but the skill level was there, and you saw why he was productive, and you saw why he was such a bright prospect for Finland, and he looked really good. And in the NHL, to Anaheim's credit, I think that at least in this season, like I remember watching him last year going like, I don't know how he's not scoring more. But it's like they're playing him like a checking line center. And like all of their players were playing like checking line players, it seemed. And it seems like they've given Carlsson a little more freedom, a little bit more opportunity to be creative. They've given him a lot of minutes, a lot of time to play with the puck, and a lot of ability to sort of stretch his legs and really get up and down the ice a lot. And it's really done well for him. And so that's a big thing for me, is watching these guys at this age going, Carlsson was number 3 for me on my list, because it's like, yeah, if the development comes a long way, then that would be great. I would love to see what he could do. With Stenberg, he's different, right? Like Stenberg is a winger. Stenberg is, I would say, relative to what I saw of Carlsson, I don't think he's nearly going to be the physically dominant escape speed type, line driver that Carlsson is now. But Stenberg is going, I would say, to be a really, really excellent first line complementary player that does a lot of everything, right? Like he can shoot the puck, but his playmaking is insane. He can get to the net off the puck and battle for it. He does it against men, and he can get rewarded for it. He can do a whole lot of stuff really, really well. He is a great forechecker. He is a great stick checker. he does so many things where it's like an 8 out of 10 in my books. It's just a matter of like, he does kind of get pushed around a little bit, and, but he thrives under chaotic situations. Like, I would say there's a very strong non-zero chance that Stenberg is number 1 on my list by the end of the year. One of these days, I am going to bank up games of all 6 of these guys and do them in a day. Preston, Villeneuve, Stenberg, Lawrence, McKenna, Verhoff, and just go ham all day and see what I think. Because I've seen Stenberg recently. I watched Preston at the NTDP games. I saw Villeneuve there as well. I just saw Tynan Lawrence the other day. And look, if I was at a table and I had the first overall pick and 10 scouts were there, I was one that said Mathis Preston, and everybody else was like, we want to go Ivar Stenberg, I would be like, okay, fair enough. I'm not going to say no, because I feel like either way, right? Like I am assuming less risk, but also like Stenberg is great. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think he's gotten even better over the course of this season, in my opinion. Like he can really skate now. There's skill level out the wall. Like, I love him. There's just so much there. So I don't know if he'll be the same type of NHL player at all as Carlson, but I do think you're looking like, I don't know if he's even like a Lucas Raymond style of NHL player. If we're talking Swedes, he's kind of his own little version of a player, where there's very good skill in chaotic situations, a very well-rounded sort of dual threat offensive game, and a really good forechecking game as well, right? Like, maybe not as high pace and high energy as a guy like a Lucas Raymond or something, but certainly more up that alley. I think he's got a little bit more finesse in his game than a Raymond did at that age. And I think he's a better playmaker at this age at that level than Raymond was. My thing with Raymond at that time was his two-way game was exceptional. Like, he was just such an excellent play driver, but the offensive results were kind of, they were there, but not as much as you would like. Stenberg, the last game I did of Stenberg, he was a machine. It was insane. So yeah, I mean, at the very least, you could argue my top 4 in any order, and I would not complain that much, especially the top 3. And 4, 5, 6 are not far behind whatsoever at all. Who would be most compatible with a Zanon type player? Most compatible. In this year's draft class, like if you're drafting high with a Zanon guy, I mean, McKenna, you could put a McKenna with him. That would be fun. Or a Stenberg, or a Prest, like any of those guys. Like, Zanal's just a really good up and down the ice play driver, I think. And the forechecking and the physicality is excellent with him. Whether he's a center or a winger, I think remains to be seen. But I think you pair him with even a guy like an Ethan Belchetz could be a really, like, that's why I liked him so much, is because he kind of pairs well with all kinds of different players who maybe need a guy like Zonal to do a lot of heavy lifting for the line. And so that's why I kind of really valued him. And this year, there's a lot of players in this draft class who aren't really like him, that are very sort of more complimentary, and I mean that in a good way. Like, they are more finesse and offensively oriented and just really, really good. Like, they're not game breakers, but there's a lot of just really good talent out there this year. So he would pair with a lot of different players in this class for sure. So Villeneuve looks more like Hudson than Mete. No concerns about competition or playing style in the Quebec League? No. I don't even... I like him more than Hudson at this age. Like, I don't know. Villeneuve is... I mean, look, I think with Victor Mete, if the Montreal Canadiens didn't shove him directly into the NHL, like, immediately, I think he could have had a really good career. Like, I think if you brought him along slowly, you gave him time with London to develop and grow and get better, you could be looking at a really good defenseman in the NHL. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really liked him. But I do not have the same concerns about Villeneuve that I had about Hudson, honestly. I think Villeneuve is more explosive than Hudson was at this age. He is creative. Like, Villeneuve does the Cale Makar thing a lot, which I don't remember Hudson doing. And Cale Makar, like, he'll cross up defensemen and leave them in the dust. Like, Hudson will cross up defensemen, or at least at this age, Hudson crossed up defensemen, took a couple of steps and flung passes into the slot. He didn't really attack super deep in the offensive zone because he didn't have the resistance and the explosiveness and the speed to do it at that age. Villeneuve does it. Like, Villeneuve is like, the only thing I have with Villeneuve that I think has gotten better over the course of this year is he can sometimes get a little bit overconfident and take high risk plays that can really backfire, and they sometimes do. But more often than not, he is absolutely flying, absolutely cooking, and his even strength production has just taken off over the course of this season in my data. And yeah, he's doing a really, really good job in pretty much every offensive facet of the game, and I think his defense is just fine. Whereas with Hudson, I could not say that at all. Can you sell us the difference in ranking between Preston and Stenberg? At what point do you factor in production? I don't. I don't factor in production. I don't care, frankly, because it doesn't matter. Like, what difference does it make on their play as an NHL player when how much they score as a 17-year-old, right? Like, that's not the point. So I don't care. Preston could, I mean, if he scored 0 points from here until the end of the year, that would be probably problematic. But, like, I would urge you to go and watch Preston on Victory Plus during the NTDP games. Just watch for number 96. Like, he's one of the best players on that entire sheet of ice. And if he goes 31st, there are how many guys on that CHL and NTDP team who go before him, right? 10, 12, 15? Like, I don't know. I think when I watch him with Spokane, so much of it comes down to there's nothing for him otherwise to do. Like, he is trying everything he possibly can to do everything for that team, and it's just not working. Like, for him to eat, like, I look at it as he's got 30% involvement in his team's offense, which for a sub point a game guy implies that his team is scoring under 3 goals a game. I don't, like, if you're an elite offensive contributor and you're also probably trying to work on not shooting every puck you touch, which is, I think, something he's trying to do. Like, what good is it to go to a Mathis Preston and go, hey man, your shot selection is problematic. You're taking too many wasted opportunities. Let's try to distribute the puck a little bit more. Like, what good is that if who he's distributing the puck to can't finish or can't keep up or whatever, right? Like, what good is that? So it's like, of course he's taking a step back on paper. With Stenberg, look, I said it earlier, I don't care. Like, if you like Stenberg more, I get it. I get it. I just think they're on the same playing field. That's all. I think Stenberg probably projects a little bit more safely to the NHL, but there's something special about Preston's skill level and his creativity and how he plays with the puck, and I think he's underrated off the puck as well. Like, if Preston's one of the guys where it's like William Nylander. If he has his head on straight, if he has the right guidance, if he, all of that stuff, if that's there every game, like, the upside is infinite, right? Like, the last game I did of him, they were getting absolutely pounded, and he was trying everything he could to do everything he could. He clearly got frustrated and started throwing hits, and I'm going, like, man, like, you're capable of going fast, hitting guys, going after guys. So if you can do that more when you're not losing, think of the potential, man. Like, think of what the upside is. And if he takes that and goes, yes, I get that. I need to harness that energy and, like, bring it a little bit more often, then I don't think there's a concern. With Stenberg, yeah, I don't know. I can't really sell you on the difference because they're in the same tier. They're very, very close. And with Preston, I just feel like, yeah, like, if you want to write him up, like, Preston also is almost a year younger too, right? Like, Preston is very young. He's a July kid, and Stenberg is almost eligible for last year, right? Now, if Stenberg were drafted last year, I probably, based on what we've seen, like, he's a couple of weeks younger than Matthew Schaefer, right? I'd probably take Schaefer over Stenberg based on what we've seen this year, but I'd take Stenberg over Misa based on what we've seen, So yeah, I don't know. I like him a lot, and I like them both, but I don't know. If you're not buying what I'm selling, that's fine. I'm taking a risk here, but I know what I've seen out of him the last 2 seasons, and anytime he's not wearing a Spokane jersey this year, he's blown me away. And even when he is in a Spokane jersey, a lot of the time he's blowing me away. Like it's pretty wild. NHL comp for Simas Ignatavicius? I don't know. I think he's got a ways to go to get there. I would say a bottom 6 guy. I don't know. I think there's a decent floor there. Seeing him in the first round is a little bit baffling to me. But if you just want big, beefy dudes who can just plug a hole in your lineup, I guess he could do that one day. I like him, to be clear. But like for me, the back half of the first round is more about like drafting high skill, high energy, high pace guys that may not work out, but like if they do, they're going to be valuable members of your team. Even if it's down your lineup. And with Ignatavicius, I don't know right now, like what kind of value he's going to bring outside of, he's a pretty decent passer under pressure. He does that like hit me and I can still make a play type thing really well, which is valuable. But like the skating ability, the skill level, it's all just like it's kind of limiting. It's kind of limiting a lot of the times I've seen him. And I do like him. He's on my list. He's ranked, but it all depends on where you draft him. I think he may not be an NHL player. And I don't know the NHL comp to really give him. What do you think the odds of DuPont going 1 next year are? Ooh. Depends. Like, I went and watched more Yegor Privalov because Dylan Griffin posted a GIF of him today scoring a goal, or a video of him scoring a goal today. In my books, I would say it's 50-50 that he goes first overall. I mean, it's a year. We're almost 2 years out, but yeah, I'm not tied to it whatsoever. And I love Landon DuPont, and we've talked to him, we've met him, we put out an interview with him last year, and he's a great kid. Like there's nothing wrong with Landon DuPont at all. But I don't think it's I don't think it's all said and done, and I don't think it ever should be all said and done this early, right? Like we're talking, a year and a half out, right? I'm personally not set on anything for next year. I mean, 70% maybe. Yeah, but like Privalov is just so good. I also wouldn't be shocked if Verhoff goes first. When the top of the draft is pretty much a free-for-all, premium right-hand defenseman can rocket up the boards. Sure, and he's in my top tier. There is an argument to be made that he should go first overall, but for him, it's like I want to see, for him to not be the back end of that tier, I need to see growth in his game from here in the end of the year. Like if he's the same as he is now at the end of the season with North Dakota after 30 games at the NCAA level, then I'm kind of sitting there like a little bit questioning of like just how high his game could go, but still the best defenseman, or the second best defenseman for me available in this draft, just in terms of his upside and potential. Like I love Schmitz, I love Reed, I love Håkansson, but Verhoff is a lot younger. I think there's a lot of runway there. And what he does bring to the game right now is also very valuable. So yeah, I could see a first overall pick there too for him. As much as we clown on Promen's rankings, I think the replies to it make him seem like a genius by comparison. Yeah, pretty much, right? That's basically it. I respect Promen. He's willing to state his perspective boldly and get clowned for it. Yeah, that's true. I think what Promen is very now connected. And I get the feeling he's got his finger. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if it's how he sees the game. But I think either how he sees the game is somehow really well finger on the pulse of what the NHL seems to want to do, or he is putting a lot of color into his rankings about who the NHL is really interested in, right? Like, I think that's why his ranking is only 31 players long. I think there's way more than 31 players this year to be interested in that you could see already by December that are perfectly acceptable to put on a list. But I think he's looking at it like, who does the NHL really believe in? And NHL lists are notoriously short. They are very, very, very short. And like, you note some of the names that weren't on his ranking, I think almost all of them, I could easily see the argument why an NHL team would go, I'm not touching that guy with a first round pick. I could see almost all of those examples making sense. Now, all the ones in the first round making sense as guys that they want to take a bet on, I don't quite understand, but that neither here nor there, right? Like, that's not what we're talking about. I've watched Carl's tape several times and was not impressed. I noticed you also don't have him in your top 30. Do you think some teams will look at him and say, we can fix him? I don't like his defending. Yeah. I mean, I think NHL teams see a high-end offensive defender there, and I could too. But I agree. I think his defensive game is really risky and troubling. In a similar way to kind of maybe not so much about like a Cam Reed, but Carl's has his wheelhouse, right? Like if this were a ranking of like who has the most impressive parts of their game, like aspects of their game, Carl's definitely would be in my first round, but that's not what we're doing. Like if Carl's is in stride, catches the puck, enters the offensive zone, and flies down the boards and makes a play, not many other defensemen are like that in this year's draft that can play like that and do that at that high speed and high pace. Like there's not many. But that's not the defenseman position. That's not that position, right? It's why I look at defensemen and I go, yeah, they can shoot the puck from the point, but I don't care. Like if they can't get it into the offensive zone or if they can't defend, then what? I don't care how hard they could shoot the puck 200 miles an hour and blow the boards off the ice. Cool. That's great. They might score a lot of goals, but there's a lot more to the picture than that. That's the end of the chain of possession, right? I always sort of prioritize things in the chain of possession. Get the puck back, get it out of your own end, get it into the offensive zone, make a play, finish a play. Boom, 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 boom. This is the lowest priority to me. Well, I guess it would be like a hierarchy of needs kind of thing. So maybe the bottom would be the most important. So maybe shooting for defensemen is like up here, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. Like I think there's risk. He looks to be a pretty good skater, pretty good puck mover, offensive leaning guy, but yeah, I agree. I don't understand it either. I don't really understand how he's at World Junior Camp. I mean, I kind of do, but I just don't. I think it's a case of like I like him. I think there's a high upside potential there, but I don't know about the likelihood of it all working out, which is why he puts me outside the first round. Like I feel like in the past 20 this year, you have to be able. Just looking at my list, I think past 15 or so, there are players where I can sort of see a world where they don't work out, but I feel like there's enough of a floor that it could be totally fine. With Carl's, there are some big gaps there that I think are issues. Like maybe he creeps into my end of the first round, but I'm not. Yeah, I haven't been like that blown away enough. But I will also say that past 20 this year, it is really hard. I don't really know. Anything interesting on the Ironen twins or any other Finns who aren't talked about as much? I like Samu Alalaueri. That's a Finnish guy that I've liked this year. Max Latakainen has popped in some viewings I've seen, so I have a game of him that I haven't done just yet. But he's also been kind of interesting to me. The Urinens I can't say I have seen. So let me just make sure. Anthony and Elis Uronen. Oh, I've seen Elis Uronen. Are they both playing Liga now? Wow. Interesting. I mean, I'll have to check it out. I remember not being super blown away with Elis Uronen, but I'll go watch. I'm always curious about guys playing pro hockey, so who knows? Is Yustavar likely to fall into the 6th or the 7th because 6-7 due to his smallishness? Oh, he's small. And yeah, I think there's a very good chance he doesn't even get drafted. Look, I think that Yustavar Karlsson may very well be like a Zuccarello Ozin type guy. Sorry, Zuccarello, where it's like people don't care about him. Nobody touches him. He's too small. He's too small. He's too small. And when he's 24, pops in the SHL, gets a contract, and it all comes together. I really like him. I want guys like him on my team. I mean, I imagine at the World Juniors, he probably won't play a ton, but if he does, I think he'll catch eyeballs. I hope he does, because it's not just that he's rambunctious and crazy and psychotic on the ice. It's that he is just also pretty skilled and goes to the net. Like, he does everything you kind of want a player to do. And again, like, if he were 5'10", I feel like people would be less concerned, right? Like Stenberg is 5'10", Viggo Bjork is pretty small as well, but people don't seem to mind about those guys. So where's my hockey puck? Usually I keep a hockey puck on my desk. But two of those stacked on top of each other is what separates him from being good enough, I suppose. And I know 5'8" is small, but I don't know. I always think about things through the lens of not what the NHL thinks, but what I think a team should look like. And he could play on my team. I could see Ustavaro being a guy I'd play on my team. If the NHL as a whole disagrees with me to the point where they don't touch him, then so be it. Then so be it. That's totally cool by me. I got no say in the game. Did you have any thoughts on Colin Graff in the NHL? Did his stick work impress you very much in college? Yes, dude. I remember for a fact, I don't know if this person will probably reinforce and remember that I did this, but when Colin Graff was playing in the NCDC or whatever, he was on my list for like a month, I remember back in the day, because I was like, he's the only guy at the lower levels of USA hockey that I kind of am curious about. And I kind of went, yeah, but it's the NCDC. Maybe it just won't work, yada, yada, yada. But dude, I've loved him forever. Like his skill level and the pace of his game are all really, really good. And that, like an NHL guy I remember back in the day, I was like, yeah, Colin Graff is an interesting one out of the NCDC. And he's like, yeah, I think he's pretty decent too, but like, NC decent. I think he's that, but like I don't know if it's like NHL whatever, like worth betting on. Like maybe he has a good college career or a college season or two and he gets picked or something, like maybe. And lo and behold, here we are. I would have been all over him as a free agent. I that's been on the record. When he was signed by San Jose, I bet you could go back and find a show where it was brought up, and I would have been a huge fan. Sweden's World Junior coach called Altorn his ace in the sleeve last year. Do you think Felix Carroll will live up to his dominant performance? I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I've never seen him play, so I don't really know. I haven't had the chance to watch him yet. Scouch is on the Morozov train. Yes. Have you checked in on Aram Olsen lately? Yeah, skilled. He's skilled. I really like him. I don't know if it's like, can I make the argument he's not an NHL player? I think so. But I still really like the creativeness, the skill level, the sort of good complementary offensive player upside that he's got. And I think his skating is getting better from where it was last year. And even at the beginning of this year, like it seems to be a little bit more fluid, a little bit more fleet of foot, so to speak, a little bit more mobile, a little bit more energetic. I worry about his defensive game. Like if you care about wingers and how they play off the puck and the intensity level, which I kind of do, and you think that skill level, like he's got a really low floor, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't play him in my bottom six. But if he's like a 3rd round pick or something, and I can stash him in Sweden for a while and develop him and coach him and be patient, then yeah, I would make that bet. I'd make that bet. Who would you like to see the Hawks draft if they have 2 top 20 picks this year? Dude, I don't know. The Hawks have so much of everything that I just don't really care. Like they could get pretty much anybody and I'd go, okay. But they do seem to like beef. I mean, if we're talking 2 top 20 picks, like a guy like Suvanto, I feel like could be a good Chicago Blackhawk. I'd want to see maybe Malte Gustafsson in a Blackhawks jersey, perhaps. Maybe that would be interesting. I mean, to me, I think if you're Chicago, you have to, I think it's a good argument and a good situation to draft long-term project bets. Ones that not just like, oh, we don't know what he's going to be, so let's see what he's like in 5 years. But it's like, they're good now, but like we can afford to be patient. I think Chicago should draft guys that they don't expect they want in the NHL 2 years from now, right? Like I think you draft a guy who you can afford, like guys in Europe can stay there longer. I guess now college hockey, you can do that as well. So the playing field's a little bit more leveled. But yeah, I would say that I would play the long game with guys. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like a Bjork, but you know, Smiths would be fun. Jack Hextall as a Blackhawk could make a lot of sense if they like Frank Nazar a lot, which they should. There might be something there too. The Hawks took a 7th round bet on Crevier. That seems to have really panned out. Similarly, massive defender. I mean, yeah, he is. That goal he scored the other night, I was like, I'd never, ever have seen Louis Crevier ever do something like that. I remember when he was drafted, I didn't really know anything about him. And I went and watched him, and I the fact that he's doing what he's doing now is pretty incredible. That's can't take that away from him. He's been a solid guy in the NHL for being huge, and he's a pretty decent skater, and he scores goals like that, then great. Although I think that was his only goal of the year, second goal of the year, something like that. But in any case, if we're talking about Karmanov, I don't think going back to Crevier when he was 17, I don't think I'd categorize his skating as like borderline QMJHL quality. I think they drafted him because he was gigantic and moved okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Karmanov's the same. Like, Karmanov is in the OHL, not because I'm pretty sure he's in the NHL based on what I've heard. He's not in the OHL because he's like there's nobody like he's in the OHL because NHL scouts want to see him there. Like, I watched him in the GOHL, and I didn't think he looked like dominant enough relative to like a Simon Wang last year who was in that league or similar league, the OJHL. Like, Wang had moments where he looked really well beyond everybody else. I just didn't see that out of Karmanov. And I don't know. It's a different situation, I think. What are your thoughts on Byron Bader's hockey prospecting? I'm curious to hear your opinion. I mean, it's cool. It's good to know. I mean, it's the whole, like, who would do a better job drafting, right? Just a potato that drafts the highest scoring CHL player on the list, or a typical NHL scouting staff. And a lot of the time it's the potato, right? Like, not all the time, but like, there is something to be said of following production and historical precedent and age adjustment and all that stuff to like focus your energy in better ways. But like, I don't know. I think with Byron, like, all you kind of have to do is, like, when he posts all those cards and stuff, like, look at the players they're compared to. It's completely all over the map, not just in terms of like outcome of career, but like styles of play, right? Like, this guy compares to like Tony Amonte and Paul Kariya. It's like, well, those two things are not at all the same. So what am I looking at? Like, why would I care? It's like, oh, good, he scores, like, my whole thing, and I'll say this, right? Like, the reason I do what I do, I started out doing stuff like that, right? That was my start in 2016, 17, 18, right? And I started to see patterns in data that were like, why doesn't it work? Right? Like, when Byron posts something where it's like, oh, this player has a 62% chance of being an NHL player. Cool. What is it about those 62% that make them interesting? What is it about the 38% that makes them fail? Right? Why? What are the factors behind that? So that when I do make that bet, I'm increasing the odds in my favor. And if a player has a 3% chance of being a player, and there are a handful of guys where it did work, what is the scenario around those players? Right? Why did they work? Right? And so digging down that rabbit hole is something I've been doing the last 6-7 years. Get it? And so, yeah, like, I don't really think about it all that much. Like, I have data that I compile into like one metric that I sort of go, okay, I have a rough benchmark of like what I find useful here, but I don't care about it, right? Like, if I did, then a Mathis Preston would be a fringe first round pick, but so would Ethan Belchetz. Viggo Bjork wouldn't be in the first round. Who would be super high, right? Like, JP Hurlburt would be undisputably maybe not undisputably, but like Ryan Lynn would be a top pick, and JP Hurlburt and Noah Kozik would be like a top 10 pick, and Tommy Blell would be a top 10 pick, right? Like, all those players are good. I like all those players. They're solid, strong hockey players, but I think you have to dig a lot deeper if you really want to get a good understanding of what's going on here, and understand not just like who scores, but like, what does a player bring to the game, right? Like, why are they scoring? Why aren't they scoring? Like that matters significantly more, right? So it's a fun tool. It's fun to play around with. But it's just very basic to me. In this, if you really want, like, I want to know who is good, it's pretty basic, generally speaking. Yeah, is that why Miroslav Shatan Jr. got drafted? Just being humongous and a project? Pretty much. I'm near your age and so that was the Eddie Murphy. Okay, well, the Eddie Murphy Delirious stand-up special is incredible. It's really funny. Do you have any player comps for Albert Smits? Any kind of role you would play in the NHL? The right team has to get him, but I don't know. Like, he reminds me a little bit of like Brent Burns, where it's like you watch him play and you just got to like hold on to a surface and go, let's go, buddy. Like, I'm ride or die. Like, he's gonna score 70 points sometimes, and he's gonna make you want to rip your head off sometimes. Like, you're gonna need to have a system that's aware and a coach that's aware of how he plays and how he thrives. I think he's a really good puck mover outside the offensive zone. I think his defensive zone game needs work, but I think there's plenty of room to develop and grow that area. But his offensive stuff is awesome. And like, if Artyom Levshinov is a second overall pick and the Blackhawks are giving him the rope to sort of be that similar type of player, I would say Albert Smits is not far behind. Like, I see more in Smits that I liked than of Levshinov at this age. I think Smits is more mobile. I think Smits is a better, like, more fluid skater. I think he's a better passer. I think he's a better, like, there's a lot of things I think he does better than Levshinov at this age, but they're wired similarly. So if you're prepared for that and you want to run with it, oh, we died. Okay, I think we're alive now, right? Are we back? Are we alive? Yes, we are. My bad. My OBS crashed, so that's weird. Sorry about that. Let's keep moving here. But the point is, I love Albert Smits. I think if you're the right team, you're going to end up with a good player. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. It would be nice because he would be fun. Fans would like him. Maybe. Most of the time. Is your monitor on your ceiling now? No, I have a monitor like flat on my desk here, and I have one above me. So like my data is up here, my monitoring for the stream and stuff is down here. I moved it the other day from having it on the side of each other, two monitors next to each other. I didn't like it. My neck was starting to hurt. And when I work, I like to have like media going, like whether it's, mixes. I don't know what's going on here. That's very strange. Anyway, my apologies again. Let's keep it going. Let's keep going here. Oh, God. Really throwing me off. How do you watch scouting footage? I use Instat, just like everybody else these days. There was competition, and then Instat bought them. So yes, I use Instat. Do you see East Wozniak having a really good 12 months of development and being a difference maker at next year's World Junior? It's possible. Sure. I could see it. Yeah, for sure. Do you think Benjamin Rautiainen is the steal of the 2025 draft? I don't think so. I thought he was solid last year. He was one of the better guys on the Finnish World Junior team. But what's he doing? Okay, so he's scoring a bunch in Liga. I don't know. He's got 17 of his 39 points in the last 10 games. I mean, look, it's good for him. I'm not going to take it away. But, the number of guys who have scored a lot in Liga and struggled to produce in the NHL is quite long, right? I remember the Wings fans telling me that Oliver Kaski was going to be a top 4 guy for them, right? Benjamin Rautiainen is solid. I think he's a good, skilled player. I can see how he would produce in Finland. But it's no guarantee I certainly don't think you can say he's the steal of the draft 6 months after he's drafted and has played 0 NHL hockey games, right? Like, I don't, just logically speaking, that doesn't make sense to me. Have you watched any Colin Potter games this year, or just the new guys? What are your thoughts on him this year? I mean, I've seen a bit of him this year, and I still really like him. Like, he's kind of getting the points on the board now. ASU had a rough start to the year. I think he looked like one of the more good players on that team. I still believe in him. Again, like, with the same thing with the Preston thing. Like, I frankly don't really care how much a guy scores that much, right? Like, it's like, how are they playing? What is happening? Because, like, one guy on the ice can only make so much of a difference, right? Like, if what they're working with, you know, if a lot of things are going right and what they're working with isn't working, and they're just not putting points on the board, then I think you're prone to make mistakes. And the opposite is true, right? If they're scoring a ton, and, like, I mean, I pulled the data last night, right? Like, Daxon Rudolph, for example, he's one of the, I think he's like 40 something in primary points per 60 for CHL defensemen this year. That, like, he's like, a lot of it is coming on the power play. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, like, is Daxon Rudolph better than Mathis Preston? It's like, well, I mean, one has a clearly dangerous power play. The other clearly doesn't, because Mathis Preston, the way he plays, it's impossible for him not to get pretty good chances on the power play. I don't know. Maybe I'm coping, but I don't really care that much. I look at a guy like Cullen Potter and go, he is a valuable player. I think ASU knows that. They played him last year as a center, which I didn't even expect him to do. And yeah, I think he looks pretty good. Do you think Alexis Joseph has a Leo Carlson type ceiling? I think it's too early to say that. I don't think so. But Joseph looks pretty good. I liked him at the under 17 for sure. The best player in a trade is, the BPA in trade is Quinn Hughes, it seems. Concerns me from a Carolina perspective, but he's a huge, I don't know what we're talking about, but the Quinn Hughes thing. Yeah, I mean, like, look, we talked about it in the Discord server last night a little bit, but, like, Adam Foote came out and was like, yeah, it's penetrated into the dressing room. Like, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, I could be wrong, but from my experience, the actual evidence that, like, the Vancouver Canucks are actually considering trading him is very limited. Like, real evidence. Friedman said there was a phone call between Vancouver and New Jersey. That does not mean anything. There are phone calls all the time. Like, if you're not calling and asking and querying stuff, then you're not doing your job, right? If you're a manager, right? If you're New Jersey and you think there's blood in the water and you think you can snag a Quinn Hughes, you make that phone call. So to me, I look at Quinn Hughes and go, I would be frustrated too if I were him, and people keep asking about it. And for Adam Foote to come out and be like, it's entered the dressing room, I don't think that means what people are saying it means. I don't think it means he's going to get traded. What I think that means is it's really annoying. Like, it's like, what if Quinn Hughes is going to bed every night being like, man, I wish everybody would just shut up, because them talking about it makes me want to leave Vancouver, right? Like, I'm sure he wants to win. I'm sure he does. I just can't imagine Patrick Alvin is sitting there going like, boy, it might be time to move Quinn Hughes because whatever. Like, he's a 26-year-old franchise level Norris Trophy defenseman. You don't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, we better trade him. Like, the only way to me that happens is if Quinn Hughes walks into my office and he goes, I want out. I don't want part of this anymore. I want to go. You know, I'm tired of this. I'm done. And I don't think there's any evidence that has happened. But look, if you think he's a flight risk, you better have very good evidence that he's a flight risk. If you're Patrick Alvin and you think he's going to leave, you better hear it straight from the horse's mouth, because otherwise I am not moving that guy, and I will move heaven and earth to keep him, because I don't know how, I don't know. I think for Adam Foote to come out and say that, I don't think it makes him look stupid. I think it just is like, there are human beings that this is affecting, and like, this is we're trying to turn it around here. It's not like we want this situation. So like it makes it harder because now it's like a topic and people are worried about it. And like that makes it infinitely harder to figure it out. And that's his job. It's his job to figure it out. But I'm not surprised he finally, because like if he keeps brushing it off, right? Like if he keeps going like, oh, like we don't think about it. It's like then especially if they keep losing, it just snowballs. It just gets worse and worse and worse because that's how the media is driven. Like they get rewarded for pushing these things and pushing and pushing and pushing. If they smell the blood in the water, they'll push. So for him to come out and be like, yeah, it's really annoying and it's getting to us. It is. It makes it harder to do our jobs. So like, either like, but it means to me that like Quinn Hughes probably is tired of it. And he's probably just going to bat for him and going like, this is getting really, really annoying. I could be wrong. Maybe Quinn Hughes gets traded tomorrow. But I don't know. Unless he walks in and goes, I want to be traded right now. I'm not, I'll believe it when I see it. Yes, the Habs are going to draft Gustav Karlsson somewhere in the middle of the draft. Maybe. And like, I also will say this, like, if you're Vancouver, the New Jersey Devils, if they're your only target because they have his brothers, then you've already lost. There's no point in making a trade because nobody else has both Hughes brothers. So they know that they're the only team in the marketplace, right? So you're not going to, if you're New Jersey, you're not going to offer much, you have no leverage, right? Your best option is to keep him and try to fix it, right? That's your best option. And I think if you're New Jersey, judging by who's on that team, going out and getting Quinn Hughes, he's a great player, but going out and getting Quinn Hughes without because they've got like, would they send Dougie Hamilton back? Because if they do that, then I guess I could see it making sense, but I don't know why Vancouver would do that. So if they don't do something like that, and it's like they've got Luke Hughes and Dougie Hamilton, like, and if Simon Nemec is part of what goes back, I don't know why Vancouver would do that either. So it's like, I don't really see it working for New Jersey out unless you want a lot of guys like Quinn Hughes on the defense group, which maybe they do. But I just don't know how. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. It would be nice for Jack and Luke, I'm sure. I don't know. Thoughts on Reshny this year? He's been great. I really like him. I think he's really good. He's projected to the NCAA very well, and I hope it continues. I hope all his dreams come true. I love Cole Reshny. Someone rescue Zach Jones. Oh my God. Yeah, maybe. We like Zach Jones around here. I'd give him a deal. I'd give him a good shot. What do you think of Sweden's D team being entirely left-handed? I mean, I think it depends. It's funny, but I think when you look at who they brought, there are a lot of really good skaters. Frey often plays the offside. Johansson is probably a good enough skater to give it a go. Boumedienne, probably a good enough skater to give it a go. Felix Orkvist could also probably give it a go. Like, I think they could be fine. Viggo Gustafsson, like, they have a lot of guys who I think are good enough skaters that they could give it a go. It could be an issue, but I think a lot of it comes down to the ability to cover ice as a guy on the wrong side of the ice, more than anything, and pivoting in a direction you're not used to pivoting as much. But I think those guys could do it. Why am I right about McKinnon being a decent player? Whoa, why would you say so? McKinnon, why would you say something so controversial yet so brave? Unless you're talking about a different McKinnon than Nathan. The time Byron Bader Potato went horrendously wrong was Jackson Blake, if I were correctly. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, but like that's the thing, right? Like Jackson, those weird cases, like you can't, it's, Those are the ones on the periphery, right? Like that's where you have to actually do your homework. I mean, also Jackson Blake turned out better than I would say everybody thought, right? Like Jackson Blake, like you're a Carolina fan, so obviously you're going to sit there and talk everything about Jackson Blake, but Carolina passed on him a bunch. Teams passed on Jackson Blake a bunch. So it's like I don't think anybody would have thought this was his future, right? Like I'm pretty sure I know Carolina did not think this was quite going to be his path as good as it was. But still, either way, it's good for him, but he is a good example of kind of when you need to do your homework. So we should use both your tools and his to make a fair judgment. Like it's not wrong. It's just different. Well, it's a starting point, right? Like it's like, okay, anything that levels the playing field more than just going to elite prospects is better, right? Like scaling for age, scaling, finding historical precedents, scaling for the league they play in. If you have good data that understands the quality of these leagues, which is tough, then yeah, it levels the playing field more. But you're kind of gambling at that point, right? It's again, like I keep talking about financial analysis, but this is so similar to buying stock in a business. You could go out and buy Comcast right now. Go look at Comcast stock, right? Like the numbers, all of the numbers for Comcast, financially speaking, fundamentally, are really positive. Like they're still making a ton of money, and they are, whatever. But it's just done this for years, just completely fallen off a cliff. Why? Is it that it's that 1% that's going to turn around and get back to where it was, or is it like? Is there something more than the fundamental numbers you can look at that might point things in the wrong direction that people are betting against? So with Byron's work, I get it. It does a job. It does a job, but it doesn't do the job. Like it's not a magic formula. But I think what it does do is at least for me, like what I do on my end, it points me in directions where I go, oh, I didn't know this guy was doing that, or oh, I didn't know this was happening. I should check that out, or oh, I didn't, it helps me go places with my analysis. But at the end of the day, what I see and the data that I track from their specific performances, I value significantly more. It's like okay, you've given me you've given me the lay of the land here decently well, but I don't know which way to go. Do you? It's like, well, 60% of the time, if you go this way, it's going to be great. It's like, well, that doesn't sound like a great, like, bet to make with a first round draft pick, right? Like, so whatever. Regardless, it's not nothing. He's not doing nothing, but it's a baseline. Like it's a starting point. And that's fine. That's fine. People like it. It's cool. Whatever. Mathis Preston on a line with James Haggins would be Scouch hockey. I would do that in a heartbeat. Yes. Have you noticed how Matej Stankovic's face looks like a young Austin Matthews? I have not. I don't look at a whole lot of faces in my day. I don't like it. I don't like faces. I don't like my own face, and I'm looking at 2 copies of it right now. Oh my God, he does kind of look like a young Austin Matthews. That's weird. Does he have braces? There should be more hockey players with braces. It's kind of awesome. I think he does have braces. That's funny. Good player. Nashville is drafting Belch's top 5. I don't know about that. Did your mic die? No, my OBS crashed a couple times, but I think we're okay. Why do you hate Carson Carrolls? Specifically because you like him. That's why. And yes, I hate him. No, we talked about Carrolls earlier in the show, but I have a lot of doubts about his game translating. I have a lot of doubts about him being, I'm sure an NHL team will play him, but there are flaws. It's similar to I don't see him as good as Parekh at all, but it's similar to Parekh where it's like, I see the appeal. I get it. But like once the NHL hits, I feel like there's going to be some flaws that are going to be questionable. I think there's going to be issues here and there, right? Like I maybe it'll work out. Sure. But you can't you can't pretend like they don't exist. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't know. I just think that the way he plays is really, really tough to project. Translation from European leagues to the NHL can be strange. There's some pro scouting magic that goes into it, like Tampa and Charles Edouard Dastou. I don't know what that means, but sure. If you think Preston is first overall, how's he struggling to score? First overalls need to score. Go watch the Spokane Chiefs. It's free, right? You can go to Victory Plus and watch the Spokane Chiefs yourself. Like, the last game I saw of him, he was playing with Sam Aremba as a center. I've watched Sam Aremba for years. First line center playing off of a potential first overall selection in the NHL draft. I would never have thought that. Ever. Downgrading from Berkeley Catton to Sam Aremba is a different galaxy, right? Look, Sam Aremba's a lot better at hockey than I am. I shouldn't, whatever, but like, you can go and watch Spokane yourself. I can't convince you, right? Because I've talked about him ad nauseum, you know, like I've talked about Mathis Preston constantly and how I'm sticking my neck out thinking that he's got just as much potential as anybody in this draft class. And again, it's also free to go watch him play on the CHL team against the NTDP. Like, he didn't struggle to score there. He didn't struggle at all. All right. It's like, I don't know. Is it so controversial to be like, if you watch the guy play hockey and you see what he's capable of and you see who he's playing with and the quality of the group around him, you know, like, is it possible to go, well, maybe in this case, scoring as a first overall pick might not be the key, right? Like, guys who score a ton, and like, look at Nail Yakupov scored a ton. Alexei Lafreniere scored a ton. You know, relatively speaking, at the time, Owen Power scored a ton for a 17-year-old college defenseman. You know, yeah, like, just because you go first overall and you score a lot, it's not a guarantee. And I believe Victory Plus, I watched it on Victory Plus, the Prospect Showcase. I don't know if it's still there, but that's where I watched it. If it's not there, then that's too bad. But like you watch, like, again, like, hockey is a team sport, right? You are trying to find the individuals that bring the most when they are on the ice to a team sport in some way, right? So if you have 3 or 4 guys on the ice at once who are not bringing a whole lot of seriously impactful quality of play, and you have one guy who is driving the bus a ton, but it's just not, the puck is not going in the net, you know, then what does that mean, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe Preston should have 20 goals by now. Maybe. I don't know. But I just watch how he plays and I go, I want this guy really quickly. I want him in my system. I want to get in his ear. I want him to be part of my club. And I want to see what he looks like when he's 23. Because I think that in 5 years, he could be absolutely incredible. That's what I'm banking on, right? And yes, he needs good players to score. Like, if you want to be a playmaker, you have to have people to make plays with. Like, what if Connor McDavid, right, played instead of like with a Leon Draisaitl from time to time or whatever? Like, what if you know, Connor McDavid had Alex DeBrincat, right? What if Connor McDavid had Dwight King and I don't know, take your pick. Like, it matters, right? Like, it matters. And again, like, you're making assumptions based on how much he scores. I don't know what to say. Like, it's based on the numbers that he generates in the games that I've done of him. It's based on just the quality of his game. You know, like, at the very least, I think he deserves to be in the discussion with some of the best players in the draft. I've said, like, I'm not tethered to number one at all. I don't care. You know, I think he's just part of that group. You know, at least if things go as positively as they could with him, I think he's absolutely insane. Like, I think he's just got so much that would translate to higher levels. I don't know. Maybe this is a generational L. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I need to say, you know, I really don't. Yes, I know BPA stands for best player available. Right. Like, but this is the thing. He should get traded. If the Vancouver Canucks have found themselves in a position that they have a 26-year-old franchise player who has won trophies and does not want to be there, then that is an admission that you are destroying the team willingly. Like if he were 30, I would be like, yes, probably now's the time to trade him. You know, probably. Yes. He's got a lot more years of good hockey left in him. He's still incredible. You're going to lose that trade. Everybody knows you stink. If Toronto tried to trade Austin Matthews right now, what do you think they'd get for him? Probably nothing. At least very little. Because the perceived value of the player is so low because the perceived value of the team is so low. For Vancouver, it's like, and like, those types of guys like that don't get just traded. Like, if you're Vancouver, you are injured a lot too, right? Like, a lot of Canucks, like, look who is injured on that team. I'm not saying they're a good group, but, you know, like, if anything, the fact that it is even a discussion that Quinn Hughes is getting to the point where they might have to trade him. If I'm the owner, if I'm Francesco Aquilini, I'm cleaning house. It's not a Quinn Hughes problem. It is the people who created this situation problem. Alvin, Rutherford, they got to go. Those guys will get fired for me before Quinn Hughes goes somewhere else, especially in the current market dynamic where you're not going to get, like, everybody thinks he's on the market, right? So I would negotiate pretty hard to get him, but you may be able to catch a sneaky one here, right? I don't know. I just think it's silly. Like, it's just nonsense. And if I'm Aquilini, I'm going, you guys are like, the fact that those two haven't been fired already indicates to me that either, I mean, maybe this is true, but maybe Aquilini is unbelievably dumb and is willing to let a guy like Quinn Hughes leave town before his contract is up, you know, while the team is super injured, you know, relatively new coach, like all this stuff, maybe. Or there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of actual momentum behind this, and they're willing to see it through. And the fuel is not coming from inside the house, right? There are people outside the house throwing gasoline on what is becoming a, you know, someone left the stove on by accident and they're pouring gasoline into the kitchen, you know? It's like, well, we got to deal with this, but, like, you know, don't stop pouring gasoline into the house, right? So I don't know. I just don't, like, I don't know. If I'm the guy in charge of that team, Francesco Aquilini, I'm assuming, if I'm him, the fact that this is even a discussion with a player that's 26 years old after the debacle with JT Miller last year, then literally, like, that is a management problem. Like if you had the greatest software engineer that ever lived on your staff and the director of the engineering department was overseeing for multiple years, overseeing a situation where that engineer was getting great results, and all of the other engineers around him were, so awful. And that superstar engineer still hasn't gone to you and been like, I have an offer from another job and I want to go, or I quit, If that hasn't that's a problem with the director. You have assembled a bad team of engineers around your superstar, right? You don't sit there and go, okay, I'll let you go. Okay, I'm good. I'm happy to lose you as an engineer. To me, this is it's a either they think that they're gonna hold on and hold through it. But if there's been a discussion where Quinn Hughes has knocked on the door of Patrick Alvin's office or Jim Rutherford's office or whatever, and he goes, I can't do this anymore. I want out. Team's too bad. I know I'm the captain of this team, but it's been too rough. I want to go somewhere else. I'm not going to extend. Move me. Then obviously that changes things, right? That changes things. I don't know. Maybe Hughes is too shy to ask him to leave. Maybe. Maybe. But then I don't know why he would be captain of a hockey team. You know what I mean? Being shy doesn't really seem like a particularly good leadership quality, and that comes from a shy person, a pretty shy person, I would say. I'm relatively shy. I'm pretty high on the shy scale. Rangers is a prospect graveyard? Yeah, kind of. I mean, unless you're like Will Culley, I think the Rangers, if you're a certain type of player, the Rangers are certainly not a prospect graveyard. They like a certain type of player. And if you aren't that, then yes, it's way more difficult to make an impact. What do you think is going on with BU this year? I don't know. Did they also have their funding cut or something? I don't know. Who's on the team? Maybe it's just that there's a lot of new players on the group. That might be a factor. Because, I mean, on the other hand, too, I'm looking up and down the lineup, and it's not Cole Hudson is Cole Hudson, and Cole Eiserman certainly can score, but I've never, all of these players, I've never been extremely blown away with them, right? I just don't know if they're that stacked. I think I've always felt a little iffy on Ryder Ritchie. Sacha Boisvert was outside my first round. Bednarik I like, but he was a second round pick. Morello I did not like. Svoboda I like, but I don't think he's I think he's a fourth liner in the NHL maybe. Murtag I wasn't blown away with last year. Boumedienne has upside, but I just don't think they're built like a powerhouse. They have a lot of solid players, but relative to the rest of some of the best NCAA teams out there, I just don't think they're on par. I don't know what their record is. Let's see. Boston University. Where are you? Why can't I find you? Oh, because okay. Boston. Okay, so they're middle of the table in their conference, and okay, let's be real here. They are a couple of points away from second in their division. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. They're not out of it, but I look up and down that roster and I don't really see a stacked university team, But they have a lot of good players. There's a lot of good. The funniest bait or potato prediction was Anze Kopitar. Went from single-digit NHL star projection to 99% in a year. Yeah, I mean, Slovenia is... or was he in Slovenia that year? I think he had left Slovenia at that point, but yeah. Have you seen anything on Alexis Joseph so far? Yes, I saw the under-17s. He was pretty good. I don't know if I see a first overall contender for next year, but a really good forechecker, really good north-south energy, some good skill as well, good under comfort, good under pressure as well. Like there's a lot. I like him. I haven't seen enough to like give you a good read on him, but I think he's all right. I think he's got a lot of upside for sure. And of the Q guys at the under 17s, I would say he probably was the best one I saw consistently. Yeah. But like there were other guys in that tournament that I thought were like better. Like Cam Warren was insane and Brock England was insane. Brock Chitteroni was really good. But Joseph was really good. For what he does well, he was really good. Does PG have any other defenders to use? I mean, not really, but yes, Carson Karls does play a ton. Oh, Dastu is playing top 4 minutes with Tampa. Good. Cool. Yeah, sure. Great. Heard a rumor today that Minnesota offered Rossi to Vancouver for Seelov's the Coots pick and Ratu in Vancouver declined. Well, I mean, that I don't think that happened. That came out today. I think that was a long time ago that came out. I mean, I like Atu Ratu as much as the next guy, but I know what I would have done there. I mean, like, at the end of the day, you know, you might have at the end of the day, it might be, Rossi might be a second line center traded for a third string goaltender, a third line center, and a fourth line center, right? Is that a bad deal? It might be a bit of a wash. Personally, I love Marco Rossi, and I think in Vancouver he would certainly be an injection of something they desperately need. And I would not have been so tied to a mid-first round pick last year that I would have gone, no, we want Braden Coots that bad, but I like Braden Coots. I don't know. Look, I would have been all if Marco Rossi, like if I were a GM and Marco Rossi were on the market all summer, I would have made that trade happen probably. Right? Like I probably would have found a way to make it happen because guys, I think guys with that kind of energy and work rate and effort and mentality and vibe, they're not common, and I'll take it. Compare this under 20 team to the 2021. 2021? Why? Let's see. What was 2020? Oh, did Miroslav Shatan Jr. get traded? Sorry, ADHD took over. 2021. Well, the goaltending is better this year. That defense group is really good. Drysdale, Byram, Gooley, Harley, Schneider, Spence. Yo, Elite Prospects is... Who is coding this website? It is slow. Does the... Weird. Okay. That's very weird. But yeah, that goaltending is better. The defensive group was is better. What is happening? And yes, Miroslav Shatan's off to Shawinigan. Wow. Yeah, I like 2021's defense group better, but what? Sorry, this website is not being very fun. Yeah, I might go with the 2025 forwards, but the 2024 defense and goaltending. Probably. Wow, Dylan Cousins had a lot of points. Damn. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. But it's a good team this year. Really good team. Is Brock England generational? Why is he the next Lindros? Brock England is not Eric Lindros, but I love Brock England. I've never really seen much of him, but he was so good at the under 17s. I liked him a lot. Dax the Rapper or Dax and Rudolph? Good question. I'm more of a Dax Flame guy, actually. But is this the guy who I think it is? No, it's not. Dax Flame is more my alley. If I had to pick. It's weird because the ask for Rossi was low, but so was the demand. So no GM felt the need for a second. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if that's the case, I would have been all over it. I would have been more than happy to jump in. You know, like I didn't know Columbus would have gotten rid of Gavin Brindley at his lowest value, but here we are. That team looked unbeatable until the USA said in the now in the gold medal. Yeah, it's interesting. Lines for the 2020 team or the 2025 team. That's a good question. Let me see. So I threw something together the other day, and I don't know if I like it yet. But I mean, like the good thing about the Canadian team is like they're all centers, so like it doesn't like you can kind of mix and match whatever makes sense, and you'll probably be fine. But for me, like McKenna, Misa, Martone, I thought made sense as a top line. Something like Desnoyers or Iginla with Luchenko and Hage, some combination of those three. O'Brien with like Coots and Iginla or Desnoyers. And then my fourth line, something like Martin with Bear or Baudouin and Reshny. Maybe you drop Reshny to a spare forward role, but like I'd take Sam O'Reilly as a spare forward maybe. Just kind of move him up and down the lineup as you need him. On defense, I'd probably put like Parekh with Danford. Aitchison and Brunick probably together maybe, or Aitchison Verhoff. And then Jackson Smith and Brunick, or Jackson Smith and Verhoff, and Cam Reed maybe as a spare, something like that. If Sam Dickinson shows up, then that changes things a little bit, but yeah. Is this the UFC fighter Ruslan Nurmagomedov? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to like someone who's banned forever from fighting. I don't know. I'm not a UFC guy at all. Never really been a huge one. All right. Well, I got to run. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me. We will be back Monday night. I am almost positive I will be done my rankings by then, but if not, Tony, I apologize in advance. I'm really trying really hard. You've all been great. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, like I said, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you really want to help us out, subscribe to the channel, like the video. It was a lot of fun, or you can listen to us as a podcast. It's going to be great. And what else? If you really want to help us, go to Scouching.ca. You can grab a subscription over there. Any tier gets you access to our Discord server and a few fun data tools. A full subscription gets you access to all kinds of other stuff, data trackers, prospects, drafted prospects. If you really want to pay me a lot of money, you get access to my tracked data live as it happens. So thanks very much for joining me. We'll see you Monday night. Have a great weekend. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. Oh, he's a hockey player? Well, too bad. I'm not going to look him up. Okay, bye.